All right. How's it going? How was the weekend? Anything fun? Anybody dress up for Halloween last weekend? On Halloween parties? Party for this weekend? Where are you going?
Hamilton Porter from Sandlot.
Ah, yeah. Nice.
I'm going to go to the Surgeon Regardless certification.
All right.
I'm going to go for softball, and the rest of my team.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, by the way, I think I went through the thing. What are you going as?
I was adding, and I'm not there, so.
Two separate days?
Yeah.
Oh, two separate days.
She was 12, and Jasmine.
Okay. Are you gonna dress up this weekend? No idea. What about you?
I think I got like a Michael Myers stick or something, but
Why don't you do Aquaman?
everybody says that, and it feels like weird, so.
I mean, you know, I think it's a, good choice, but yeah, it could be weird. What about you, Justin?
I was like a caveman and I was a vampire.
Oh, you already went? Are you doing something again?
Yes.
What are you gonna do as? Batman? Hmm? Oh, a lion? Just regular, like Wizard of Oz lion or something, like what's? Just a lion. How about you in the back? You two in the back, what are you going as? What are you going as for Halloween?
I'll just grab the Laura from High.
Okay, nice.
I'll be Rachel from Twin Titans.
Interesting. What are you going as?
Me? Jason from Saw.
Oh, Jigsaw, good. Yeah. What else? I'm gonna go as Dr. Eggman from Sonic. Because the kids are Sonic. But I have seen some interesting ones, like on TikTok. Like I've seen the porta potty. Have you seen like the porta potty?
What?
Costume. Have you seen those? That's cool. Like someone's walking around, they created a box, right? To look like a porta potty. You open it up, and it's them with a short leg sitting on the toilet. They have a little face with it. I was thinking something interesting. All right. Today we'll talk about alternative marketing. Actually, what we'll do kind of a few is we'll come up with some creative ideas. Maybe a one slide PowerPoint for companies who are working on using some alternative marketing methods. Something that we would come up and share, so give you time. But first, we kind of want to understand what alternative marketing is. So we already said, hey, traditional marketing. Radio, television, billboards, right? Magazines, newspapers, things of this nature. Like, okay, this is traditional, and most things theoretically are still, for the most part, built on traditional marketing strategies, right? Using these mediums. Then we say, well, the age of the internet and social media came about, and that kind of changed everything. Now we can get instantaneous metrics, who's viewing, how many likes, how many shares, how long people view the content, so, et cetera, et cetera. So it made things more extremely more, I'd say more efficient, which is nice. Posed a new challenge. New challenge is that, hey, there's 2 million, not 2 million, there's millions, right? There's millions of brands, millions of companies, millions of entrepreneurs, et cetera, saturating social media. So it's like everybody's really fighting extremely hard for your attention, right? For your attention. So you're like, well, how do you get beyond that? What else is there in terms of marketing, reaching to customers who are your target, to get them aware, get them influenced, to get them engaged, and ultimately to purchase the product. And even more so than purchasing, how do you get them to become sort of their own brand ambassadors? Free marketing, when we're talking about like word of mouth. Right? We say word of mouth is the most effective. Usually, if it comes from someone you trust, you're most likely to have a higher degree of influence to purchase. Right? So you're like, hey, my favorite podcaster, it's on Joe Rogan, right? I saw it on Joe Rogan, and I like Joe Rogan podcast, and I trust whoever was the guest that day, and they sponsored something, and now I'm gonna go check it out. So that might be better than it coming directly from the company, because you're like, well, the company's there for a profit. Right? So maybe I want someone to give an honest review, an honest opinion, an honest something. So therefore, we use some alternative methods, alternative strategies. What today we'll talk about, we're like, hey, you know what if we use things like guerrilla marketing? Anyone familiar with guerrilla marketing? Or seen that or heard of it? Yes.
Isn't it like you're sort of like competing against other marketing tactics of other businesses? Or is it like, yeah, something like that?
Something to that degree. But you're like, hey, guerrilla, like if you're having guerrilla warfare, you're like you're using some really stealthy practices, camouflage somewhere in the plan, right? Or you're using some psyops, right? Some psychological operations. You're like, oh, we put in a decoy. Put a decoy in there. So with guerrilla marketing, you can think of things like this. You walk into, you see some people on the street, a couple, right? And they're like, hey, could you do me a favor? Hey, we're from out of town, we're tourists. Could you do me a favor? Could you take a picture of us? You're like, yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah, hang on, we're gonna stand right here. You're like, here's my phone. Right? And they give you the phone. Right? And then you're like, what is this phone? Like, oh, this phone is what is this? Oh yeah, this is like the new blah blah blah. Right? iPhone 17 Pro, and the camera is awesome on it. Yada yada yada. Right? I'm like, oh wow, crap, that's cool. All right, cool. Here's a picture. Take a picture, walk off. Right? You walk off and later you're gonna go Google iPhone 17 Pro, blah blah blah, and then it might influence you to buy. You don't tell other people about it. Oh yeah, take this picture for this couple from out of town, and they get this cool phone. Come to find out, you're like, well, that couple from out of town is a fake couple. The company paid these people to pretend to be tourists. Super clean, nice tourists with the cool phone. Right? And something, you're like, well, you gotta pick a particular type of people who can get everybody's interest, super friendly. Maybe they're wearing t-shirts connected to the phone in some way or some other association. And you're like, wow, this is our strategy or tactic. Help like decoys. Let's say you walk into a Starbucks, right? You're in Starbucks and I guess you got like a television over here, people playing video games. Right? Like, what's that about? Go over there and you think this is regular people who bought Starbucks coffee, just playing video games. Come to find out it's a new video game, it's super cool, super interesting, maybe even a new console, something of the sort. And you start playing. Not only you start playing, you start talking to people there. So now it's like this community sense. And the person there is actually paid. They're paid. They're pretending that they're not. They're just random people. They're giving you information about it. Yeah, this is fast. And it's like, yeah. That would be guerrilla marketing. Now, you gotta ask yourself, you're like, man, how would you feel if you found fake. People paid for by the brand company, etc. But you feel like, hey, I don't know, that's kind of unethical. Or you're like, it doesn't matter, who cares? Like, this is a cool product, I bought it, I like it. What are your thoughts on this? Unethical or like, yeah, it's just another strategy? What do you think? Using this sign of kind of a subversive, self-decoy. Yes.
Yeah, it might be unethical, but like if you still are convinced to buy a product, it's not really the company's fault, because obviously like in the future there are benefits to them. So I feel like you can call it unethical, but at the same time, if the marketing works, it's not really the company's fault.
Okay, like, hey, how the market responds to it? I don't know, not really call it unethical. Do you think the company has any responsibility to kind of be truthful in certain situations, right? When it comes to things like this? Anyone think it's unethical to do things like this? To kind of use fake or other tactics? Yes.
I think it kind of becomes unethical if it creates like unintentional like negative feelings or harm, or if it's like forcing someone, not forcing I guess, but installing like, oh, you know what I'm saying? I'm wording it weird, but
Yeah, I agree.
it's different than like someone planning a fake kidnapping and then it makes you think of like, you know, there's an ad right next to it about like a tracker on the dog or something like.
So you're saying there's a line there
Mhm.
between coercive, right, and coercive, which is branding or something. Because think about it, you're like, all right, here's another scenario. Fake kidnapping. Right, you go and you're like, because here's the thing. What we'll talk about today is just buzz marketing. Like buzz is just literally to get a bunch of people's attention quickly. For any reason, you gotta use kind of any tactic you can think of to get their attention, and then later on you kind of show the product. Right? So you're saying here, like, hey, what if it's a fake kidnapping? And then you're chasing the person, like, hey, come back, I'm gonna call the cops. And then they run into a situation where there's nowhere else left to run, and they're like, oh, we're just joking. Here's a branded thing for our new product. It's running shoes. And our running shoes are superior to Nike and blah, blah, blah. Like, would that be another movie? Kind of like, dude, you almost gave me a heart attack or something, right? Or, right? So, in a sense, things I kind of want you to think about in using some strategies today, right, for your company. Like, how can you get quick attention, right? And second part, how can you build, because it has to be purposeful too. You can't just, be like, it has to be tied into the product somehow. How are you going to show the product, even if it was has to be directed towards the target audience, right? It's not going to work with people who are uninterested, right? Because at the end of the day, they're like, it's not my cup of tea, right? And it's really, I think it's for the little stimulus. So it still has to be directed, it has to create buzz or, like you're saying, talking, word of mouth, chatter, sharing things with other people. Highly stimulated events, right? Sometimes we could call things viral if they're on social media, but for the most part, it's still kind of a buzz. Right? And think about it. You literally can use so many different ways. You can put up an extremely offensive word up on a billboard and have people sending it. And the first thing you think of, people then gravitate, say, hey, what's this stuff? Okay, right? This is marketing. We're drawing people in, and at the end of the day, it's not what you think. Not what we intended, but it's more so related to our product, et cetera, right? So we'll talk about some of these. We'll talk about some other things like lifestyle marketing, guerrilla marketing, et cetera, et cetera. All right, what will we learn learn buzz marketing, guerrilla marketing, lifestyle, and experiential, how it enhances marketing and communications program, right? So kind of trying to get away from traditional marketing methods, thinking of more creative, I would say, ways to get the audience attention, right? We're talking methodologies, product placements, right? Setting up things and environments on purpose. You know, you look at movies and you're like, oh, was that Coca-Cola background? Is that Apple laptop that guy's using as a spy, right? Things placed on purpose in TV shows, movies, somewhere in some environment for you to kind of pick up on consciously, right? The growth and use of alternative media venues, right? Things of this nature. Video game advertising, in-store marketing, point of purchase displays. We'll go through kind of all of these. All right, here they're talking about country music awards, but as we kind of use kind of any venue, you're like, hey, what? Let's use a venue for marketing. Let's not just put it on during on a billboard or something like that. Let's use an actual venue, right? An event, right? Some sort of event. And what we could do is create some sort of appeal in this event. Maybe it could be a short story, like in between the performers' performances. Let's introduce a story. Obviously, if we pay, we have to pay the venue for this program for it. But let's tell a story, and the story could be sort of like Nike stories, right? Some sort of emotional appeal, where we talk about how someone comes from the bottom and reaches the top, and they go through all these obstacles and challenges, et cetera, right? But at the end, like at the end of this great, wonderful story that's pulling the heartstrings of people, we're someone in common, right? So we could use venues, right? Why use the venues? It's like, well, there's a ton of people at this venue that actually are our target audience. They need socioeconomic status, they need interests, they need the demographic makeup, of people that we want to reach. So this is perfect. Let's use an event, right? And we see this all the time now, right? So we're like, hey, you use this to reach customers in a more personalized fashion, right? You can relate things to music or your favorite artists, right? The products that they're wearing. Oh, why is she wearing that? Where did she get that from? What kind of guitars? Look at those shoes, look at this, look at that, right? More personalized. And the performers develop relationships with them, right? So the performers are ambassadors for the brands. Right? If you like the performers, most likely you might like them, right? Whatever they're offering, right? Because sometimes these individuals we want to mimic and be more like to some degree. So even when it comes to things that they purchase or seem to be selling to us in some kind of unconscious way, we want to relate to them. All right, so alternative marketing programs, anything alternative, anything we say requires creativity and imagination. Right? You drive down the street, there's a giant